Today's speaker has built several successful businesses in the industries of tech, marketing, and consulting. As a partner and shareholder of Cultivate, he has currently spent the past 5 years as an advisor for other leaders and small business owners. When it comes to helping people work with more of their ideal customer, this is an area he has spent a lot of time on and can offer a variety of perspectives. Here to share with you how to triple the amount of customers you get through word of mouth is Cody Munster.
Hello, my friends. I am super excited to be with you. Are you ready to learn how to triple the number of ideal customers you get by word of mouth? I hope you are. Buckle up. Let's do this. So my name is Cody Munster. As you saw from the intro, I've been a partner and advisor here at Cultivate since 2016. And, a lot of things, my journey started when I was 19 years old. I started my first company with a dozen employees. It was a franchise business when I was 19, and I learned a ton from that business. And over the next 15 years, I grew and scaled multiple companies. And some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today has just been a foundational part of my business growth and each one of those companies, because I realized the value of having, word of mouth and customers being happy and sent to I would rather spend my marketing efforts getting people that were referred to me versus, thousands of dollars outbound marketing. So I'm going to bring along with this topic years of that kind of culmination of everything I've learned. Plus, I'm going to bring a lot of energy to this topic. So bear with me as we get through this, but I hope this is an engaging conversation for you if at any point. So here's the purpose of today. We're going to be sharing with you a word of mouth strategy that works for our company. And I'm going to share some strategies that will also work for our customers. At a minimum, I want to make sure that you get as an outcome today is to know when and how to effectively ask for referrals better with either yourself or your team that you are working with. And throughout, my invitation to you is that you find one idea, just one, that you will all in go and implement, and you'll start doing that as fast as you possibly can within this either today or this next week, because I know the value of this topic, which we'll get into next. Because the agenda that we're going to cover today is we're going to talk about a couple of topics. One being the psychology. There's psychology for you and maybe people on your staff that we have to overcome in order to open this opportunity up. And there's also other people involved that we got to make sure that we just talk through this as a starting block. Then we're going to talk about something that's called the PACER strategy. This is going to be the recipe and formula to your fast track to success that we can work off of in our conversation. And then at the very end, stick around, because I'm going to share with you the number one tip 90% of people neglect, costing them more referrals. And it's so simple that not only will you get more referrals from your customers, it's also something you can implement today with little to no effort. And if we have time, we'll stick around for some Q&A, answer any of your questions. So what's the value of this topic? When I think about it, there's three big things that come to mind. One is that people pay 2 times more attention to recommendations from friends. I mean, think about it. When you are looking for something that you want to purchase, you typically, how often do you ask for a recommendation or just the Amazon 5-star reviews? I mean, you're looking at that stuff. And the second one is with the value of this to a business is people that are referred to you are less likely to leave. There's stronger loyalty. So retention, how valuable is that to your company? And then the third piece is, as a business, how wonderful is this? Referred customers bring higher profit margins, up to 25% on average across the multiple industries. So, looking at that, wow. And then here's the thing, as we get into this topic, I got to tell you about a quick disclaimer. You must provide an awesome product or service for the following to be beneficial. If you are not getting the desired amount of referrals into your business right now, one of two things is happening. Number one is you probably have a very niche business, which it's hard to make recommendations to your business. You're not a commodity type service, okay? Or number two, your service is not either a 9, a 10, or a 10 out of 10 satisfactory scorecard. And that is what's costing you more people from openly, willingly spreading the love of your name and company. If it happens to be one of the It's not, it's probably the customer experience. You got to work on that first, because none of this is actually going to matter all that much. It probably won't even be beneficial. So I would say start there. And then as you get today's information, work on the next part. Okay, but stay with me. I want this to be enlightening for you. So this process, though, produces results. 95% of my customers have come through word of mouth. And I want to share with you instant ways like how I built my business. And when I started realizing that, hey, what I was doing is, it's not maybe that all unique. I don't think there's going to be a lot of just like, holy cow, I never thought of these moments today. If anything, these are going to be some great refreshers for you to think about how you can pour more fuel on to make these work for you. But how I built my business, and something there to think about, is I started collaborating with complementary industries that dealt with my ideal customer. You know, when I think about business advising, something that our business owners need all the time from an advisory standpoint is a CPA, an attorney, insurance broker, financial advisors, et cetera. But those are like the key ones that I tend to refer out a lot. And what I realized is, you know what? Some of these people work with hundreds of my ideal clients. What would be the value if I got together with them once a month and shared best practices of how they can better educate me and my clients? And then also talk about how we can collaborate more, but invite each other to our events, to do presentations like this to their clients, et cetera. I started doing that several years ago, and it opened up such an incredible opportunity for me. It was just like, okay, this is the thing. This is one of those keystone things. So if you're meeting with people already and you're doing this, high five. If you're kind of loosely doing this and you're like, yeah, I do refer a lot of work, my invitation is to be the facilitator, to organize a consistent meeting between those folks and to start talking about how you can collaborate more effectively, because it will open up so many doors for you. You're sitting on a golden goose egg. All right, number 2. I don't know if golden goose egg was a good proper, but I think you get the idea. Weekly goals and intentional asks. If your calendar is already mapped out with the customer appointments and people that you're meeting with, I would say, are there anyone that's on your schedule that you can already talk to, that you can be more intentional about just asking? Hey, this person probably, like, I should just add this as an agenda topic in my dialogue, and to say, do you happen to know of anyone else that could be benefit from using our service? And, we're going to be much more specific than that, but I think you get the point. Doing that has created more than enough opportunity that I can handle at this point. And here's the question that I'd like to ask you is, I want you to write this down. What percentage of your total customer base has been referred to you? Take a guess, and then answer the question, what do you want it to be? And then we're going to talk about how we're going to close that gap and work at that as like our goal going forward. So what are the biggest obstacles preventing you from getting more referrals from word of mouth right now? If you're joining me, I'm assuming that you're probably struggling or you want to get much better in this area. So is it that you're uncomfortable asking? Is it that you have no process? You just don't ask? Is it maybe that what you're currently doing isn't working, or is it a little bit of all of the above? What is that part? I want you to get clear with that, because let's look for the solutions as we go forward, and we're going to talk through some of those answers. But here's the formula. It's called PACER. I want you to write this down vertically on your sheet, because we're going to work off notes on this. But when I think like this formula is like a recipe, if you have the recipe, isn't it true? Like, think about when you make a recipe, even though some of you probably just love like following the recipe point by point. And some of you love just like, hey, I just love like throwing extra ingredients in and that's your flavor. Great. But isn't it true though, you can't put those necessarily out of order of how you bake the whatever it is that because the cake might not turn out. This is the intent with this, is PACER literally means the following. It means we need to create a plan. We need to ask. And now we're going to talk about how. We need to make it compelling for people to refer you. It's got to be easy, and you got to review and repeat it. So write that down next to each letter, and we're going to go at it fast paced. So here we go. P stands for plan. So how to be a PACER. Plan, know your goals, have a process. No surprising, but if we're marketing for the ideal customer you want to get through word of mouth, we got to set an intention behind that. For example, like, how many new customers do you want via word of mouth in the next year? Start with that as a wish, And then let's figure out how often, how many per month should that be? Let's set some framework around it so that we can share that with our teams and like really build around that. Then, some easy things to think about is take a look at your current ideal customers that you're working with and just ask some questions like, what do you love about them? List 3 to 5 traits so you can get clear, because these traits are also going to be how we're going to start asking, which is next. Because when we go and ask people like old school, like I'm just going to bring it, like we're not talking about like this revolutionary process today. I'm talking about just like how to get better at just doing this. It costs you nothing, right? It costs you nothing, but you got to have the right courage. You got to have the right dialogue, and you got to be consistent, which is this whole thing. So how we need to address is we need to talk about some of the psychology first. And one of the things is a lot of people say they don't know what to say. And shockingly, as I'm running workshops on this, it is not surprising anymore, because the first time I heard that, I was like, really? But a lot of people say that they feel guilty or they're not worthy to ask their top clients about, asking for introductions. They feel like that's like crossing some line or boundary. And I was like, what? How is that possible? And this person went on to explain to me that they just felt like, they're charging a customer and they shouldn't ask for more than what they're providing in the service. And I was like, well, do you believe in your product or service helps people? And they're like, absolutely. So why is it not an obligation for us to don't you think people are going to want to share that amazing experience with other people? It really started to click for people. So there are a lot of fears. And here's the reality is a lot of people say like, hey, I'm uncomfortable. If this is you, but listen up, because for you, there are some like things that are like working in the psychology. So write down what hesitations are preventing you from asking. I want you to get real with that story first, because it's just a story. Let's be real. I'm not Tony Robbins by any means, but you really got to talk to yourself and say like, what label am I giving, me being scared or not being like comfortable asking? Because we got to change that story and rewrite it to what you want it to be. And let's start there. But for them, so what hesitations do we have to help overcome or help people overcome to willingly refer us to other people? And here's an interesting stat. Harvard Business did a study and found that 85% of people won't take a risk in introducing you to somebody else if they feel that there's even a 1% chance something they say, if they make that recommendation or connection, is going to feel like it's going to be damaging to their reputation. Think about that for a second. They're not going to refer you. I mean, hey, if I know someone isn't like looking out for the best interests of someone in my, like one of my close friends, I'm probably not going to make a connection for you to them, right? That's not a surprising study, but when you think it's even a 1% chance, holy cow. So we need to reassure them of a couple of things in your process, and it needs to be addressed up front in the psychology, which is making sure that we assure them that we are offering a ton of value and we're going to express that value. And number two, we need to talk about that there's no hard sales pitch. And I'm going to give you some examples coming up in a moment. So here's some things to just do all the time, right? Ask all the time. If you get nothing else and you just write this down and you just said, hey, team, we just need to start asking all the time and we need to be consistent of it. You're going to be successful walking away from this presentation. It'll be worth your time. But here's some ways, like when you start working with people in the beginning, that's a great time to ask. There's excitement. They feel like you're going to offer the solution. You don't necessarily have to wait months and months before you prove that you've, produced the service for them and all this other stuff. Like if they're happy, depending on what type of industry you are in the beginning, they're excited. That's a great time to ask, like, who else do you know that could benefit from this? They're excited. They're thinking about you're a solution to their problem or to their opportunities that they're working on. Next up, obviously, is happy customers. If they're happy and you know it, ask for referrals. Oh, I just came up with that. I hope you like that. But it's the whole idea of just, if you get some type of indication that someone is happy, especially easy one, if you ever get someone to say, thank you so much, you're wonderful, they send you an email or whatever, address it, say thank you for doing that, and instantly get in the habit of saying, who else do you know that should know about this service? If you start doing that consistently and you have a team of people that are doing that, you will see double and triple the amount of opportunities come your way if you just follow that logic. And that's a great time to ask for reviews, etc. If you're in a business that has annual reviews, if you're like an insurance or something like that, that continuously has retainers with clients, annual reviews, go right now into your checklist of things that you cover in your annual reviews. And two things should be added there. One is a validation that they are happy with everything that you're doing for them. If they say that they're happy, then ask them for a referral and be specific on the ask. And we're going to get to that next. But we need to talk about, and this whole process is just be persistent, think longevity. This is not a short-term gain. This is a long-term play to your company. Things that we don't want to do, no surprise, don't be afraid to ask. We already touched on that one. But a lot of times it's amazing. When I started doing this consistently, I had so many people that were saying, oh, thanks for telling me. I didn't actually know you were taking on new business. And it was kind of mind blown. That's a whole nother seminar. But the whole idea is like people necessarily don't know that you're taking on new business. So tell them you are, but you want to work with more great people like them. Talk them up a little bit. They're your favorite customers. And then just don't hard sell, meaning like make sure that you're offering a ton of value. Hey, thank them for the relationship and the connection, for who introduced you, and just be of value, be of service to these people, and things will come out. And obviously we don't want to be generic in how we ask. Hey, if you know anybody that needs my service, let me know. It's we know that doesn't work. The more specific that you can say, like specific industry, specific persona, like the way people think, where they might hang out, et cetera, that you can say in detail 3 to 5 key points that explain your ideal customer, that is going to help you. So do that. Now we're on to C. We're going to make this compelling. We're going to speed this part up, but you got to get clear of why should someone refer you to others? Is it valuable enough? Does that picture look like your desk? If it does, it's probably no reason or no wonder why you're not on the top of someone's agendas. Because here's the reality, folks. Most people have a lot going on, more than they like to admit. So we need to figure out how we can make it so compelling for us, our name, to jump on the top of a priority list for people wanting to speak to more people about us versus just like the passive situation. We want to get people proactively working for us. And here's what we're going to be talking about is, our advising sessions for business owners are valued $500 and up in value just to have a free 2-hour advising session with our company. So when we say we offer a free 2-hour advising session, that's how much it's worth at a minimum. But think about the insight that people get. There could be a ton more value that comes out of that. So what you need to do is you need to create a list, write down and create a list of all the compelling reasons that you can come up with of how you can get people to prioritize of wanting to be inspired to make introductions. And here's a couple of things. Remember this, you are the prize, right? And what I mean by that is if you believe that you change people's lives and that you make a difference, you need to make sure that you express that in a humble way to your customers of how you make a difference in people's lives. And you need to get people part of that cause and that mission to say, who else do you know? And you keep that part going, because when they connect emotionally with that and you give them easy ways, which I'm going to talk about next, to refer you, this is where it all comes together. But here's one big misconception. People think that if you offer, let's say, a monetary reward, a common misconception is that people think that it's about the reward. It's not about the reward. Legally, a lot of you can't even offer these types of incentives. It's not but when you think about it, would you really refer one of your best friends to someone if you knew that you were going to get paid from that opportunity? Heck no. You're doing it because you care that this person's going to have a better experience in their life somehow. And that's why you care to do it. You're inspired to do it. But if we provide a simple after the fact monetary or gift card or a gift, whatever we can legally do, and then you just say it's a part of the courtesy thank you, that's where this actually goes well. But the misconception is you put the money first, and then it creates this negative connotation between this. And this is where you're missing out. So if you're going to provide rewards, have them come after the fact. But now here's what we got to do to wrap it all together. We got to make it easy to refer you. People already have enough to do, folks. we have to make it easy. So I'm going to share a couple of examples for those of you on how to be like easy, making it easy if you're a B2B business to business type company, or if you're B2C business to consumer. So I know there's a lot here, but focus right on the highlighted section. Now you're going to see how I bring Pacer all together for a B2B type example. I write pre-canned email templates that I give my customers to help me make introductions to people in their network. I just asked, hey, could you send this canned email to someone? Would you be willing to send this email template to someone that you know that could benefit from our service? And like, yeah, sure. Who you want? And then I help build the dialogue of like who our ideal customers are. And then I just ask them, do you know of those types of people? They identify a couple in their head. And then there's like, yeah, I'll do this. So this is an example of one of my happy customers saying he's reaching out to his friend, Steve. So it says, hi, Steve. But if you focus on the middle, I'm going to share it's like as his client. So remember what I said, it's got to be valuable and it's got to be compelling. As his client, the customer is saying, I'm able to give time for a free discovery conversation, and which is this valuable. This is what it does. It helps people achieve their goals faster with fewer challenges. I thought of you. Would you like this? Hey, this next section, this highlighted section says, please keep in mind, right? It says, please keep in mind there is absolutely zero obligation or intention for you to be sold anything or use his services. So I'm just making sure I reinforce the psychology that we talked about. Then what do I do is I lace in this other example, which is the third one. It's just a little bit understanding of his world in this section. The client just provides me a little bit of detail and context between the relationship. So I know when I reach out to this person or they reach back and say, yeah, I'd love to meet Cody. I actually know what is the purpose and the intent. So that is, ask if you want this, email me. I'm happy to send you the template. You can modify it your own, but I'm going to keep going on the business to consumer example. So I have a chiropractor, best friend of mine. He sends every year around the holidays these coupons for the gift of health around the holiday season. And he says, if you know of anyone that you want to spread the gift of love to or the health to this holiday season, here's that. We'll cover all expenses for x-rays and a checkup and an exam. Every time he does this, he generates so much business, he's booked out for several weeks. And imagine if you have 1,000 customers, 100 customers, whatever, and you did this consistently around the holidays, what could that do for you? Can you model that into your business? Folks, think about how much faster will your company grow if you consistently getting introductions like these. You need to come up with something, come up with something to make it easy, because if you do that, you just got to think long-term marathon. You just review and repeat, right? Think marathon runner approach, repeat and ask again. It is not, it's like, so we know we're always asking in your company, if you have teams of people, right? Track and measure this. How many referrals are we currently getting? What's a goal that we want it to be? Let's work on this on a quarterly basis to up and up and up that game, and to create our own process with Pacer. What does it look like? And then what we really need to do is we need to be patient and persistent with this. Here's what I mean. There's been so many times where I ask people for introductions. They say they're going to. I ask a little bit more about why are they making that introduction to that person. I thank them for even taking the time and the effort to do this. Hey, would you like to get an email template to make it easy for the introduction? They say yes, etc. And what do you think happens? Crickets. Nothing happens because they're overwhelmed. But what do? Is I just make a courtesy follow-up. The next time I just mark that on my agenda with them, or when I see them next, and just make a mental note. And then what do? Is the next time I just say, hey, so good to see you and talk to you about, I just wondering, did you ever get a chance to talk to so-and-so? And they say, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Like I got busy. And what does that do? It's actually better. And the reason why it's better is because they're more motivated. And they typically I get like, I'll call them today. Like I'll get on the phone, I'll call them today. They're actually more eager to tell them about the experience because they feel obligated in a good way. They feel obligated because they made the commitment that they were going to do this thing on your behalf or on our behalf. They were going to send the email or whatever else on a three-way introduction through the email template that I showed you, et cetera. And for whatever reason, they don't do it. And then they follow through and it just works even that much better. So be patient and persistent in your approach. Teach your team how to do this well. And here's the number one tip. I said at the beginning, if you get anything else from this, the number one tip that 90% of people fail to do, even more to get more customers from the same person, that you can implement right away. And if you're doing this, congratulations. But what I find is 9 out of 10 people don't do it. And here's what it is. You never told them how it went. Meaning, if someone sent you a referral or an introduction and you went off and you did business with them or you talked to them and you didn't work with them, etc., did you actually go back to the referral source and did you tell them how it went? Yes or no? Be honest with yourselves. How often do you do that consistently and consistently well? Because think about if you were to go and consistently do that and you were to tell them, hey, I know confidentiality you might not be able to share, but let's just say at a minimum, you started saying, hey, I wanted to let you know so-and-so that I spoke to this person. Thank you. Thank you. Or what if you don't have any confidentiality? Whoa, what's the opportunity for you? You can go back to them and say, hey, I spoke to so-and-so, we're working together and this amazing thing happened in their life and it wouldn't have happened unless it was for you taking the time to introduce them. Boom. They are so excited that they took the time to do that. They are now, their mind, their reticular activating system, which is the thing that just opens up their floodgates of what they're looking for and searching for in their life, is now saying the next time I see anyone that could use this person's services, I am going to instantly refer you. Bing, 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 bing. And they're happy as can be. So here's how you get started with Pacer. You're going to make a list. You're going to go back with your team or yourself or whoever it is, and you're just going to make a list of your happiest customers. You're going to understand some traits about them. You're going to go to those people. My invitation is this, like, give them appreciation. Ask if they know other people like them. Birds of a feather flock together. Think that mantra. Give them a compelling reason to ensure that you are taking on more customers so that they know, and then make this a reoccurring priority at a minimum. Just giving you just simple next step tactics. And here's where I want you to set in. I ask you for one thing, and which is, what is your takeaway? What's the thing you're going to go do? Circle it, double underline it, put it in your schedule, and let's open up some time for conversation. Thank you very much. It's been a blessing. Good luck, and just go ahead and be a Pacer.